I'm not perfect, God, neither are you. Tell these salty motherfuckers to tell the truth. Tell politicians to give up the rooms. Tell silent voters to stand up to the booth.
God, it's me. Can you hear my plea? Feeling like I'm lost in this world, can't you see? Demons creeping in, trying to take control of me. But I'm just trying to find the light, trying to break free. I'm not perfect, God, neither are you. But why you keep forgetting me? What did I do? Trying to have a convo, but you starting to preach. Feeling like I'm on a leash. Can't find no peace, find no peace. Living in hell, can't you hear my plea? I'm suffocating, can't you see? Why you let these false prophets roam free? While the real ones suffer, can't you see? I'm not perfect, God, neither are you. Why you keep targeting me? What did I do? Trying to have a convo, but you starting to preach. Feel like I'm on a leash, can't find no peace.
Hardest battles, strongest soldiers, greatest burden, broadest shoulders, pushing up just like these boulders. This conflict like it's water, so this mercy, take my chalice, seeking grace through all this malice. All of these salty motherfuckers to give out.
Politics and sinners, they all the same.
Got me stuck in this endless game. But I won't give up,
won't play the role.
Gotta do what's best
for my soul.
I'm not perfect, God, neither are you. Tell these salty motherfuckers to tell the truth. Tell these politicians to give up the room. Tell silent voters to stand up to the booth.
Good morning, 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 good morning. You already know, welcome to the Urban Conservative. This morning we're talking about power struggles, police drama, and protests, Minnesota's breaking point. But before we get into all that, I want to play Rashad Lee, Not Free. So here you go with Rashad Lee, Not Free.
They say I gotta be doing the most, talking my shit cause they love when I boast, telling me thank you for giving them hope, but back in my mind I be feeling alone. Said they admire I'm chasing my dreams, some people tell me I ain't who I think, all the opinions I've been on the brink. Some like to argue the fact that they doing what's better for me, I don't know what to think. Pacing myself and I stay getting better, they say that I'm crazy in need of a shrink. I don't know, maybe I just see it different, they try to compare but ain't seeing a link. Can't overlook me, I'm bigger, I'm better than ever, I'm hitting my peak. I'm really who I decided to be, but the shit isn't free, is it? Let's try to look at this from the beginning. Told everybody I do what I did with the music. They really be hating I'm winning. 10,000 hours, no really I did it. Think I'm surprised that my nigga forget it. I ain't afraid to be honest about how you people be faking, just say it, I'm with it. Can't fit the shoes that I walk in, no wonder it's clear to the people we move a little different. Never been perfect, no really I get it. Stand on my 10, I'ma walk like a man. If I made a mistake, then I probably admit it. I can't be worried about people's opinions. I told them my story, they still didn't get it. If I was to listen, I bet I'd diminish. They say I gotta be doing the most, talking my shit cause they love when I boast, telling me thank you for giving them hope, but back in my mind I be feeling alone. Said they admire I'm chasing my dreams, some people tell me I ain't who I think, all the opinions I've been on the brink. Some like to argue the fact that they doing what's better for me, I don't know what to think. Pacing myself and I stay getting better, they say that I'm crazy in need of a shrink. I don't know, maybe I just see it different, they try to compare but ain't seeing a link. Can't overlook me, I'm bigger, I'm better than ever, I'm hitting my peak. I'm really who I decided to be, but they say the devil in me. I'm selling my soul to the highest bidder. Said I'm a king, they ain't get the picture. If you let them tell us shit, I'm just a nigga. Come from nothing, made them reconsider. Long nights, what to eat for dinner. Long fights, put the beef on simmer. I can be a lot, but I can't be a quitter. Double down, I'm betting on myself. Fuck a label, I don't need the help. Keep your chain, you can keep the rollie. If I never blow, I did it for myself. The price of fame will be your mental health. Stay consistent, people say I'm different. Even though they witness, they can never tell. Say whatever shit, it never fails, it's forever. They say I gotta be doing the most, talking my shit cause they love when I boast, telling me thank you for giving them hope, but back in my mind I be feeling alone. Said they admire I'm chasing my dreams, some people tell me I ain't who I think, all the opinions I've been on the brink. Some like to argue the fact that they're doing what's better for me. I don't know what to think. Pacing myself and I stay getting better. They say that I'm crazy in need of a shrink. I don't know, maybe I just see it different. They try to compare but ain't seeing a link. Can't overlook me, I'm bigger, I'm better than ever. I'm hitting my peak. I'm really who I decided to be, but the shit isn't free.
Hey, this shit ain't free. This shit ain't free. Hey. Man, welcome to the Urban Conservative. And I want to get into it this morning. So I want to talk about the truth about black banks and the race and the racial wealth gap. I want to get into that because that's the first thing I want to talk about, right? Because we talk about these Republicans, we talk about the Democrats, we talk about reparations, but we never want to talk about the racial wealth gap and what it is to be this birthright citizenship. And I want people to fully understand what a birthright citizenship really means and how does that affect you? Because a lot of people have one parent that's an illegal immigrant and then one parent that's an American. So how does that affect you? And how does that affect the fact about black banks and the racial wealth gap? So we're going to get into that. And right after that, we'll be right back.
Racial wealth gap.
The racial wealth gap is stark.
The racial wealth gap is tremendous.
The gap between white and black America.
What is the racial wealth gap and why is everyone talking about it? The racial wealth gap is a measure of wealth inequality between racial groups in the US. Here's a prime example. Black families make up 14% of the population but own only 5% of American wealth, while white households make up 65% of the population but control 80% of the wealth. The gap traces back to the 1863 Emancipation Proclamation, which led to freedom for almost 4 million Black Americans. By 1860, their labor accounted for 60% of U.S. exports, $200 million a year, but Black Americans received nothing. No land, no money. Without any money or land, how could newly free Black Americans create wealth? One way could have been the banking system. Alexander Hamilton, the father of American banking, said that banking is how wealth is created. But Black Americans were overwhelmingly excluded from using banks. So what happens when a community is barred from the mainstream banking system? They create their own. Black banks are supposed to close the racial wealth gap. So what happened? For almost 200 years, there have been 3 unique barriers that have kept Black America from generating the wealth the Black community intended: discriminatory lending, housing discrimination, and economic segregation. First, let's talk about discriminatory lending. Following the Civil War in the late 1800s, Black Americans had few freedoms or financial options due to legal segregation and Black codes. Black codes were laws that restricted the freedom and movement of Black people and forced them to work for low wages. If you were Black, a white bank would either bar you from entering, deny your loan, or charge you higher interest rates. These were common practices of discriminatory lending, and it created a need for financial services that Black-owned banks would aim to provide.
Black communities found ways to create mutual aid opportunities, credit unions, and cooperative efforts to make sure that as they were locked out from mainstream financial institutions, they had the systems in place to make sure that their financial needs were met.
In 1890, one of the earliest Black banks was operating in especially hostile territory, the Jim Crow South. Alabama's first Black-owned and Black-operated bank, the Alabama Penny Savings Bank, was founded by Reverend William Pettiford. Influenced by Booker T. Washington's principles of self-help and racial solidarity, the Alabama Penny Savings Bank lent money to churches and professionals in Birmingham when other banks wouldn't. And it did this during a time when the Alabama legislature was doing everything in its power to deny Black political and economic freedom. Pettiford partnered with powerful white bankers in Birmingham who helped with administrative and staff training. These partnerships were like cheat codes during a time when segregation laws made Black and white relations very difficult. In 1913, the Penny Savings Bank constructed a 5-story building that housed not only the bank, but dozens of other Black businesses. The rent from those businesses provided funding and investment capital, something Black banks serving poor communities struggled to get. The Alabama Penny Savings Bank faced financial risks unique to Black banks. A lack of capital or money to invest put Black banks in a risky position. Not only did segregation laws shrink the number of potential customers, low-income customers made smaller deposits and more withdrawals. This meant 1, operation costs were higher, so Black bank owners invested more of their own money to keep the bank stable. And 2, it restricted their revenue and lending capacity. Fewer loans meant smaller profits. Pettifer's partnerships with larger banks meant he had aid during difficult times, and the bank grew significantly under his guidance. Assets reached over $540,000 by 1913, equivalent to approximately $17.1 million today. By 1914, the Alabama Penny Savings Bank was the largest and strongest Black bank in the United States. But no one could be convinced to help the bank after his death. The bank failed just 1 year later, causing depositors to lose all their money. While the Alabama Penny Savings Bank provided an alternative to discriminatory lending, Jim Crow segregation made long-term economic advancement nearly impossible. The second barrier to building wealth, housing discrimination.
One significant driver to the racial wealth gap, as I mentioned before, is going to be homeownership. Homeownership is a significant driver of wealth, whereby every year of homeownership, homeowners gain about $14,000 in equity. Conversely, if you don't have access to homeownership, you don't have access to that type of equity and that cushion that you could get from having money saved from homeownership.
Housing discrimination allows banks to deny home loans to the Black community through a practice called redlining. Redlining was a government-sponsored practice of denying mortgages and other financial services to segregated Black and brown neighborhoods. It's called redlining because bankers literally drew red lines around undesirable communities. One Black household in a middle-class community was enough to make the federal government deny mortgage loans in that area. As a result, Black families turned to predatory lenders or were shut out from home ownership completely.
We just keep having to fight battles, but a lot of the things that have happened to Black folks in America were orchestrated and they were legal. That was systemic. I mean, it wasn't like it just happened that way. It was designed to be that way.
Black banks made it their mission to fight against these policies. Maggie L. Walker was America's first Black female.
That's one thing that people fail to realize is that, you know, they say that the system is broken. No, because the system was designed to actually work the way that it's working. It's that us as people are becoming too ignorant and too gullible, too naive to face up and fight what we're really fighting, because we have too many gatekeepers, because we have the Black churches, right? We have and that's the one thing, because if you sat with a motherfucker, this is what I want to, because I ask anybody that's a Baptist or a Methodist or any of that, right? What is the AME? Why do y'all have the AME? Why do we have Black churches? Y'all don't call them white churches. I call it church. But then when you call it the Black church, but just as it's a regular church, and there's a reason for that, but nobody ever wants to talk about it. God never seen it. This is the whole thing of why I will never go back to a church again, right, for a service. It's because of the simple fact is that there's so much racism, systemic racism in church that nobody wants to talk about, because of the simple fact of, if you look at the makings of a Negro Christian, let's talk about it. Let's talk about it. Nobody wants to actually talk about all these systemic policies. And that's why I'm going to get into this more, but it's crazy as hell how you have, like, to me, you have so many uninformed people out here, because yeah, Trump is making a lot of executive orders. He's getting rid of DEI. He's getting rid of equal opportunity employment. You know, he's getting parts of the 14th Amendment out of here. And people don't understand is that all these programs that he's getting rid of, because they don't work. They don't work. We tried to go by racism. Well, we felt bad. But who's getting left behind? Because nobody wants to talk about that. Nobody wants to talk about how the real blacks who everything majority this was written for, because the 14th Amendment was written after the Civil War. So how does that include foreigners? People that, that's what I'm saying. And at the end of the day, I understand that this affects people in my family. That's not my decision. That's not my choice. You know what I'm saying? It's the fact that we were able to live so good for so long. We thought we would live for so good for so long, but really we weren't. Because they're failed policies. We are being taught lies. We're being indoctrinated with lies. We are being programmed with lies. And then when we finally figure out the truth, they're excited that we're getting educated, but they get mad because we found out the truth. All their little lies, we found out. All their little white lies, we found out. And now they're mad. They call us conspiracy theorists. But what's happening? Those conspiracies are actually realities. And nobody wants to talk about it. That baffles me.
Bank founder. Not only did she organize a black bank in the segregated South in 1903, but she managed to run a successful one in Richmond, Virginia, the former capital of the Confederacy. It was called St. Luke Penny Savings Bank. As a businesswoman and banker, Walker advocated for black women's financial independence and the advancement of the black community. She famously said,
"Let us put our monies together. Let us have a bank that will take the nickels and turn them into dollars."
By 1920, Walker's bank had provided more than 600 mortgages to black families. It also created jobs for black professionals, allowing them to leave the lower-paying jobs. But just because a black family received a home loan didn't mean the challenges stopped there. In 1925, Dr. Osteen Sweet and his wife Gladys bought a home on the edge of Detroit's Black Bottom slums for $6,000 more than its market value. But after moving in, a white mob surrounded their home for several days. They wanted them out. This story is common. The fear that a black family moving near a white neighborhood would tip property values and send the neighborhood into decline was so great that some white homeowners were willing to resort to violence. Once the mob started to damage his property, Sweet fought back and violence broke out. A white man was shot. Sweet was later charged and then, surprisingly, acquitted of murder, but the fear of decline is a self-fulfilling prophecy. When the white upper and middle class leave a community, property values plummet.
Right.
Businesses and bankers stop investing, and neighborhoods are left underfunded. Walker's Bank continued to provide loans even when it wasn't commercially profitable. St. Luke served its community for 100 years until just before the 2008 financial crisis. Housing discrimination has continued to make black home ownership unattainable for many, widening the wealth gap. The third barrier is the result of decades of lending and housing discrimination: economic segregation.
Right.
Economic segregation is the geographical separation of communities based on race and wealth. While redlining has now been illegal for over 50 years, you can still see its effects in the form of economic segregation. If you look at a map of a major U.S. city, you'll see pockets of wealth alongside pockets of poverty in historically segregated communities. And many of the predominantly black and brown neighborhoods are low income with unequal access to education, healthcare, and upward mobility.
You're seeing communities that don't have wealth as a function of slavery, as a function of Jim Crow, black codes, mass incarceration, redlining, entering to a different system of financial services and products. And so the wealth that they should have, they don't have, and the wealth that they could have, they will never have because they're dealing with institutions that are preying upon the poverty.
Pockets of deep poverty are typically the areas black banks serve, but they struggle to turn a profit and create wealth in their underfunded communities. So what would happen if a low-income community was able to support its businesses and entrepreneurs and keep money flowing within that community? Well, we actually know what that would look like. In the 1900s, during the height of segregation, 3 notable pockets of Black wealth existed. One was in Durham, North Carolina. During this time, Durham was home to more Black millionaires than any other city in America. Durham's Haytide neighborhood and its Black financial district created a self-sustaining Black Wall Street and was a safe haven from Jim Crow America. Black-owned businesses and wealthy white partners invested in Black innovation, talent, and enabled the flow of capital in the community. During a time where there were few options for Black businesses to secure capital, Mechanics and Farmers Bank was the only financial support for small borrowers like farmers and laborers in Durham. M&F and Durham's Black Wall Street managed to keep the Black dollar circulating within its community for decades and created a thriving Black middle class. But most Black banks struggle to do this, and it's why economic segregation has continued to be a barrier. Unless every buyer and seller deposits their money into a Black bank, eventually the Black dollar will flow into and grow the mainstream economy, leaving the Black community with scraps. The catch-22 of Black banking is that the very institutions needed to help communities escape the deep poverty caused by discrimination and segregation inevitably became victims of that same poverty. In 1958, North Carolina cut a freeway through the heart of Haytide, and Durham's Black Wall Street, along with hundreds of homes and businesses, were destroyed. And M&F Bank couldn't withstand the decades-long decline in Black banking without change. In 2015, the organization decided to diversify its customer base and market outside the Black community. Out of the 5,400 FDIC-insured financial institutions, only 23 are Black-owned as of 2018. If you're Black and you walk into a bank today, there's a chance you could be arrested for trying to withdraw money from your own account, denied a mortgage even if you have good credit, or issued predatory loans with high interest rates.
These are all things people don't want to talk about. They don't have
Black-owned banks
discussion.
face many of the same challenges today as they did 200 years ago. But they're not giving up the fight for financial justice. Modern movements like Bank Black, championed by celebrities like rapper Killer Mike, are revitalizing the push for economic empowerment. Killer Mike and Andrew Young Jr. and others co-founded a financial tech company that recently secured a $45 million investment to encourage banking within the Black community and build Black wealth. An NBA team and the NFL made history when they chose Black banks for loans as high as $35 million. And One United Bank, the nation's largest and first Black-owned digital bank, is fighting for the 49% of Black households who are unbanked or underbanked, providing loans and financial literacy to low-income communities. Addressing these ongoing issues is crucial to creating a more equitable and inclusive financial system. So if Black banks alone aren't going to help close the gap, what could? Initiatives like student loan debt forgiveness, which disproportionately affect Black and Brown graduates, and expanding affordable housing programs and other forms of reparations could help close the gap.
And reparation doesn't have to be a boogeyman concept. It's not all about cash. It's about access. Access is a form of reparations, right?
Black banks may not be able to completely solve the racial wealth gap, but they are one important piece of the puzzle in growing Black wealth in America.
Let's get you into a home. Let's get you into that business. Let's get you into a bank account. And let's get you started on this journey of economic mobility. So this generation and the next can say, I'm no longer a victim of these mainstream policies and products. We're on our way toward freedom.
Thanks for watching, and don't forget to subscribe to PBS Oregon.
That is so right, because we have to look at the racial wealth gap. We have to look at the racial wealth gap. You know what I'm saying? Right. And I hope he reaches out to me. I want to get him on the show. There's a lot of things that I want to do, you know what I'm saying? And I want to expand, and I want to get people's stories out, because there's so much going on that people don't honestly know what is going on in their communities. And we need to be better informed, number one, and we need to be better educated. Because even what's going on in the state capitol, in Minnesota, I'm going to talk about this. But another thing that I'm going to talk about too is people always want to talk about what stays in the home What happens in the home stays in the home. And this is, I believe, is an effect of this. But also it's a repercussion and a consequence of that. First of all, people have too much authority over our children where we have none. Or we don't have much, because I'll tell you right now is that there is legislation in the state capitol to make it possible where they're in the right, the schools that, and everything, and that it takes power away from us being parents. So I want to get into the story about the teacher of the year. This was 2016 is when he started this relationship with this little girl. And yet he was allowed to teach. He gave winner of the year because it was manipulative. And we have white supremacy. We have systemic laws and oppression that allows this, because it's the same thing. I know I wasn't on there yesterday, but the day before, when we talked about buck breaking, we're desensitized. Even like in Minneapolis with the guy having sex with a dog. You have people defending that. You know what I'm saying? We have so many people right now that literally should be in prison, should be under jails, but yet they're not. And people who never did anything are demonized. And that's crazy to me. And I still can't get over that. But listen to the story, because this is not only this was somebody that you send your kids that has authority over your children, just like in Maplewood with the guy, he worked for the school, but he was arrested. We have teachers all the time, your Uber drivers. When is accountability going to finally hit us? And I want you to pay attention to the story, because it's crazy.
This former teacher of the year has pled not guilty to criminal sexual conduct following an allegation from one of his former students. And the victim's family tells me they actually alerted the school of their suspicions nearly 8 years ago. Yet the school still allowed Abdul Wright to keep teaching for years.
I am Abdul Wright. I'm Minnesota's State Teacher of the Year.
He was just manipulative.
Life experience has shown me the importance of being a good person, the importance of grace, the importance of unconditional love.
He used that prominence, that position, that stature.
All I'm doing is serving. He's serving these young people.
I was a kid.
Please, please, can you not pursue legal action, please? Please.
The school, I think, failed tremendously.
We'll just have your ticket. See? Okay. Under the protection of anonymity. And then you can just look at me as we talk, and we'll just have a conversation. Jane Doe is telling her story.
I was 14.
A story she was afraid to tell for years.
I think it was important to step forward for my own healing and to take back my power with the situation.
She was a middle school student at the time at Harvest Best Academy in Minneapolis. Abdul Wright was her 8th grade English teacher.
I am Abdul Wright. I'm Minnesota's State Teacher of the Year.
I think that
crazy.
his
This whole story, man,
and
and it's
him
so
being
sad.
Teacher of the Year really was the reason that a lot of people turned a blind eye.
Wright is now charged with first-degree criminal sexual conduct for sexually abusing Jane Doe, his student, for almost a year.
Even when I look back at pictures of myself, I'm just like, I was
a kid.
Right. Nothing
sad.
about me should have been perceived as anything other than a kid.
Investigators say the abuse began in January 2017, less than a year after Wright was named Minnesota Teacher of the Year.
He was, revered in the community.
Attorney Jeff Anderson represents Jane Doe.
He used that prominence, that position, that stature.
In these court records, Wright is accused of abusing Jane Doe in the classroom, inside Wright's car, and at her family's apartment.
This was frequent.
Wright recently pled not guilty, and his attorney said in a statement he is looking forward to his day in court. But Jane Doe says the abuse was methodical.
He was taking us to the Timberwolf games.
Damn.
I started babysitting his kids with permission of my mom.
Holy shit.
And that's when the abuse started.
That's crazy.
Do you believe that it was grooming?
Yes. I just don't think anything that happened was a coincidence. I think it was all premeditated.
My thing was try to get to the bottom of it.
Guided by a parent's protective instinct and hundreds of phone calls,
A phone record that was insane. It was all times of night, all times of day.
Jane Doe's father tells the Fox 9 investigators he immediately reported his fears
Everybody
to
knows
Best
that
Academy.
school is up
I
north.
know these people.
Right.
So when I called and flipped out, they knew exactly who I was and who I was talking about.
We are acutely aware of this father's report.
Anderson says the family eventually landed a meeting with the school's founder, Eric Mahmoud, in the summer of 2017.
Imploring him to do something.
I thought what I was saying was being dismissed completely.
I mean, even after the meeting, everything kind of just went back to normal and the abuse continued.
Citing privacy laws, the school says it could not comment on those specific allegations.
I bet. To protect themselves.
So we reviewed these school records, which show no evidence Wright was ever disciplined after that meeting, and he continued to teach at the school for years.
I think they failed tremendously.
It makes me feel like overlooked.
I thought about going to the police, but the way that they responded to the cell phone record, like it was nothing, I was like, I'm not really sure if it's enough for the police.
So what did you do?
I went to the court.
He requested a restraining order against his daughter's teacher. As a part of a settlement, Wright agreed to cut off social media contact with Jane Doe
That's
and
crazy.
to maintain a quote professional teacher-student relationship. Now, we asked Best Academy whether they knew about this court document, which dictated how one of its own teachers was allowed to interact with a student. But the Academy says it will not be providing any statement regarding this matter.
If somebody would have took what I said back then
serious,
then we could have stopped it. We could have stopped it back then.
They didn't investigate, and it just didn't seem like they cared enough.
When Jane Doe confided in her family last year, they confronted Mr. Wright.
Please, please, I'm begging you. I'm begging you. I'm begging you from the bottom of my heart. I ain't never did no shit like that before. And I thank God this morning when I didn't have the police at my door. I swear to God I did. Is there any way, please?
I was in 8th grade, and I was expecting to be protected. I was also naive.
For Jane Doe, it's been 8 years.
I feel like I grew up way too fast. And I really wish that I got to be a child longer.
But now she's using her voice to face her past.
And as an adult now, I just have to pick up the pieces.
That's crazy
Abdul
as
Wright
hell.
went on to teach at St. Louis Park High School, but he later resigned after those criminal charges were filed against him last year. So far, the trial date has not been set.
That's wild as
For the
hell.
Fox 9 investigators, I'm Nathan.
Like that's crazy as hell how the parents went to the school and the school did nothing. Like just shoved it under the rug, pushed it under the rug, and deal with it another day. And then don't even want to help. That's what's wild to me. Now you see Harvest Seeds. That's in North Minneapolis, right? It's over there on Olson Memorial, right where the projects used to be. That's a up and coming. I guess it's been up and coming. You know what I'm saying? There's been work done over there for years, but it's crazy because we go to these people, we go to these officials, and to protect our kids, to protect our babies, because if it was one of theirs, it wouldn't be like this. It wouldn't be like this. That's crazy to me. It totally would not be like that. And when it's like, damn, when are we finally gonna do something? When are we finally gonna do something? Right. That's exactly. It's a damn shame. It definitely is. And this is what also I want to talk about too, is that, you know, in Minnesota, we have our state legislators. We can't even get nothing done in our state. We're talking about protecting our kids and how much people know what's really going on in our state capital. How many people know that today is a Supreme Court hearing, Minnesota Supreme Court hearing, about how many actually is a quorum? How many people know? How many people know that there was over 177 bills that were introduced yesterday in the Minnesota House and read them and maybe even went through them, because they're not all good. I want people to pay attention. It's the same way, I will say it like this. Democrats got over. They taught me a lot, because especially when it came to no-knock warrants, it's to read. A headline is fine and dandy, but if you don't read what's in the bill, if you don't read what they're planning, yeah, that shit affects you in ways that you'll never understand. And we see what's going on. We see what's going on. Now, I want to get into what's going on at the Minnesota House, because there's a power struggle. And it shouldn't be a power struggle, because it's about the people. We the people. And I want to get into this. So the Minnesota House power headed to state Supreme Court.
In less than 24 hours, the state's highest court will hear arguments on the power struggle in the Minnesota House.
Late into January, the balance of power in that chamber is still very much up in the air. Fox 9's So-Young Kim joining us live from the Capitol tonight. And So-Young, what's being presented before the Minnesota Supreme Court tomorrow?
Kelsey, Randy, there's a lot of moving parts to how the House got here, but essentially a big piece to all of this is what number determines quorum for that chamber to conduct business. The 2025 session opened in the Minnesota House on January 14th, but has yet to truly begin with both parties present. Here's how we got here. The November election of all 134 Minnesota House seats resulted in a historic tie, 67 to 67. So initially, House Democratic and Republican leaders worked on a power-sharing agreement. The landscape changed, however, after a county judge ruled the DFL winner of House District 40B did not meet residency requirements to represent the Roseville area. Separately, the state's highest court ruled Governor Walz had called a special election, which would have been held later this month, prematurely. Now, that special election is expected to take place sometime around March. With that vacant seat, currently, House Republicans have a one-seat advantage with 67 members to House Democrats' 66 members. So the question now before the Minnesota Supreme Court is to help resolve what constitutes a quorum, the number of members needed to conduct business. Since opening day, Democrats have been boycotting the session because they do not want quorum established while the GOP has a temporary advantage. DFLers interpret quorum as a threshold majority of 68. House Republicans have been operating.
Hold on, because she says a key word. Now listen, right? Because I'm going to stop.
Quorum established while the GOP has a temporary advantage. DFLers interpret quorum.
Interpret. So this all depends on how you interpret, how you comprehend. And that's what's crazy, because going to our state Supreme Court in Minnesota about what they interpret. That the state constitution and the Mason's Book of Law for legislators was written, because most motherfuckers, everyday niggas, don't know about this shit. Let's be honest. It's because you want to read something, but how can you read something if you can't interpret? Because you're not going to comprehend it.
As a threshold majority of 68. House Republicans have been operating as if quorum has been met, with 67 members present, moving forward with a speaker and committees. Here's what Republican Representative Lisa Damuth and DFL Representative Melissa Hortman have said on the matter.
As far as the power sharing piece, I've been very, very clear with Representative Hortman that if they do return to a 67-67 tie, I would like to work with them and restore some co-chairs in some of the committees, restore equal membership in some of the committees, and work together in a power sharing as that.
Power sharing is not, we're going to give you some things and you should feel good about those things. Power sharing is we work together as a team to divide the work evenly and to collaborate instead of pretending that one party's in a superior position to the other.
Again, arguments will be heard tomorrow, but even still, if the state's highest court decides to make a ruling on this matter, there's still a lot more to come. Live at the Capitol, So Young.
Right, there's so much more to come from this. And today is the state Supreme Court hearing in Minnesota for this. What is a quorum? And I, when you read this stuff, right, and I've been through it, and again, this is I'll say that I was indoctrinated, I was programmed, so I'm learning on my own. The way that I interpret, and I pushed it through 3 different artificial intelligence. What I see is that we have 132 members, right? And what is a quorum of that? What is a quorum off of 132? Well, I get 67. So I mean, legally, if they see Brad Tabke, which honestly, I don't know, like, I know a lot of people don't know what's going on in 54, because it's tricky. You know what I'm saying? It's really tricky. It's hairy. It all comes down to interpretation. It all comes down to comprehension skills, because everybody sees things differently. And should it be that way? Honestly, no. But that's the way that it is, because our education system was built on workers, not thinkers. And who do we blame for that? Do we blame the adults that really paid no attention and wanted to go twerk, wanted to go, I'm not going to say twerk because that's a newer word, but wanted to go dance? They were on there letting us drink MD 2020, letting us drink Boone's Farm. We had barbecues in the backyard. But when was we having conversations about politics, about policies? Because I honestly believe that if our elders, the people who are alive, our matriarchs of our families, right, our people that we love and honor, then why? What else can we do? And we can't be mad at that's one thing that I will never understand, right? Is because we have to blame this. We can look in the mirror and be like, you know what? I did this myself because it was my choice. I had choices. I could forget everything and run. And that's what a lot of niggas do. They forget everything and run, right? Or you can forget, you can forgive and rise. That's what I had to do. I had to look in the mirror and be like, you know what, dude? Chaz, you've been through a lot of shit, bro. You've had babies with a woman that didn't even know your real name. You were looking at life in prison. You've had strokes. You've had guns put in your face. You've had buildings almost, they wanted to blow up a building. You've seen innocent people get killed for nothing. You've seen innocent people, bystanders who die, and people run through their pockets. It's like, when are we going to do right? Everybody is so enamored with wrong. But what are we going to say? You know what? Hey, I don't care how many people over there standing and saying that's right, because we all know that it's wrong. We all know that it's wrong. Just like, I'm going to tell you like this. I haven't seen nobody speak besides Bakari speak about Ricky Cobb. All those niggas out here talking about Ricky Cobb, this courts just found that justifiable. Justified murder, homicide, whatever you want to call it. They found it justified, or they dropped it. But yet, we're mad because we don't know what's going on. So what are you mad at? Are you mad because you can't interpret? Are you mad because you can't comprehend? There's nothing wrong with asking questions. And that, this is the reason why a lot of spaces I leave, even though I've been here anonymously, I leave. It's because, to me, you can't ask stupid questions. Because a lot of people, here's the one thing that I've had to understand, right, is I live in a rural community. I'm like 25 minutes outside of Rochester, Minnesota. And it baffles me because I'm with somebody that has education that is a rural, and I have an inner city, I have an urban. But you can tell it's completely different. It's completely different of the education we have. I can do math easily. I know my history. You know what I'm saying? It's like, but yet, you know, out here they haven't taught cursive writing, how to read it in years. They're getting rid of spelling bees. You have tampons in boys' bathrooms. Nobody wanted to get rid of that shit. While y'all talking, getting rid of this DEI and doing all this other shit, y'all didn't want to get rid of that while we were at it. Y'all want to get rid of this immigration, but y'all didn't want to get rid of this, the tampons in boys' bathrooms. Fuck out of here. I will never understand it because people are, to me, are literally ignorant. They're dumb because if you don't stand for something, you'll fall for anything. So I want to ask again, what are people standing for? What are you standing for? Because even with this, you had over 250 undercover cops on a website that was public. And I don't even know who was undercover and who wasn't. I just know that they removed. I knew about the website, right? And it came out from a data request from Tony Webster, who is no longer here in Minnesota. He's in college in Wyoming. But it was put on the website. And I will never understand how. Yeah, I just don't get it. How? Because it took a cop to figure out that there was undercover cops on here, to say that there was undercover police. So I want to get into the story of how the Minnesota Public Association sues the Post Board, right? And we all know who the Post Board is. Maybe you don't. If you don't know the Justin Timberlake, if you don't know the officer that they killed, actually, you know who I think it was? I think he did come back up here to try to get his teacher's license. The guy that killed Philando Castile because he was down in Texas teaching. So, yeah, there's always ways. Just like how people want to say that, you know, with Katie Wright, not Katie Wright. Oh man, I'm getting this. Kim Potter. Kim Potter. How she might not work for the police department, but she works for the union. So how is it that we have people that do wrong, but actually still our system finds it justifiable that they can do it. They can train their officers all over to do it again. And I have to wonder, when is people going to call out the wrong and say that it's wrong and look at it that it's wrong?
Thank you for joining us. A new lawsuit claims a big mistake has put the lives of hundreds of Minnesota police officers at risk. It alleges the Post Board, which licenses Minnesota officers, wrongfully revealed more than 250 names of those working undercover. Lou Bogus joins us now with more on how this mistake was finally discovered. Lou?
Rena, the names of the undercover officers were posted online for 5 months without anyone realizing it, until, according to court documents, an officer browsing online found names listed provided by the state Post Board that should have been kept private. The nonprofit website Invisible Institute has a data tool showing police employment history for states across the country. Journalist and law student Tony Webster, who's an expert on Minnesota's data practices law, says he provided the site data he received from the Minnesota Post Board through a records request. Webster says the Post Board, the state board that licenses police officers in Minnesota, specified to him at that time that the data did not include the names of undercover police officers, which is considered private data. But according to a lawsuit filed by the Minnesota Police and Peace Officers Association, an officer browsing the site found a huge mistake. The state accidentally included the names of 257 undercover police officers in the data provided to Webster. The names were not labeled, so Webster had no way to know. But in a statement, he says, quote, "When I found out, I dropped everything I was doing and worked to get the data taken offline. But it has been distributed beyond effective recall." Deputy Director of the MPPOA, David Titus, says in a court filing in part, "I cannot understate the harm that would come if these undercover police officers' identities are publicly disclosed. The targets of those investigations could retaliate or cause them harm. The investigations these officers are working on could also be prejudiced or completely undermined by this disclosure." The Post Board Executive Director acknowledged the mistake in an email that says in part, Post learned yesterday that it inadvertently included the above information for officers designated by their agencies as undercover. Although the data do not directly disclose or indicate the undercover status of any officer, this information on undercover officers is not public data.
Lou, is that information still available online?
Well, no. Tony Webster worked with the website Invisible Institute to immediately take down the names, and they replaced it with a list of officers that is public data, no undercover officers included. But like he mentioned in his statement, it's impossible to know who downloaded the data over the previous
5 months.
Well, and now if you have the list of officers that are not undercover and you have a list to compare it to, that seems like that could be even more problemsome.
Yeah, nobody does that.
All right.
Wow. You just gave out the idea, Lou, whoever her name is, to compare the two lists, and it would tell you who's undercover and who's not. But this is a bad mistake. This is a bad mistake. How many people? I didn't download the website, but I actually went through the names. I follow Tony on Twitter, and he did a lot of things. There's a lot of reporters and a lot of people that I met from the media during the 2020 uprising during George Floyd. And I have to say, even like with Communities Unite Against Police Brutality, there's a lot of information that people know to get around data requests. They know the Freedom of Information Act. There's a way to get information. So, but also because of that, people are becoming educated. You're seeing encrypted communications. They're trying to block that transparency. They're trying to make it where it's, just like what dude had in Rochester, the city council person, Sean Palmer, had death threats. I have death threats all the time. What makes you your white privilege? Because when we say something, the media don't give a fuck. That's the one crazy part, is that when I was in Red Wing and I had a van pull up on me and try to kidnap me, I'll say, they had a knife. But if it wasn't for me trying to get away, and then when I reported it, the police didn't want to do anything. So why are you doing something even when I got hit by a van in Rochester? You didn't want to do anything. When Chase Johnson busted Corporal Matt Adamson on a website for messaging underage kids, you didn't want to listen. You hid it. Even when it came to Olivia Flores, who Shane Roper killed, Minnesota State Patrol. We still have people. That's the one thing that I'll never understand, right? There's an individual that her name is Brittany Edgar, and she got into a car accident and harmed two kids, two Amish kids. There's probably more. It was more people than that, but there was two that were hurt, and she only got drinking and driving. And it's like, how can you keep on doing the same things over again? And we're not teaching anything about consequences. Because if you only give out, this one, the crazy thing for me, right? I ain't never received no jail sentence between 28 to 45 days for this. Like, we have to be accountable to underage drinking, to drinking and driving and causing an accident. How is that not? You're harming people's lives. But yet, because they're white, we look at it as right. And that's crazy to me. I'll never understand that. I will never, never, never understand that, right? So the Post Board is a state agency that oversees police licensing and standards. According to the lawsuit, they expose sensitive info that could put undercover officers at risk. Think about it for a second. Cops who work in deep cover, dealing with gangs, drugs, and all kinds of dangerous situations, have their names out there for everyone to see. It's not everyone. That's the whole crazy. Unless you know where to go dig for it, you're not going to go. They're making it. I'm not saying that there isn't individuals. I knew where Ryan Lundgren lived. When he killed Ricky Cobb, I knew where he lived in Robbinsdale. That's the one thing that I will never understand, is because all these people talk about, we're scared. He's a scary guy. Your information's public. So is your address. thanks to, first of all, you have systems like geographical areas called like GISs that, they put up the property, they know, who the owner is, what kind of taxes you pay. But unless you know where to look for it, people don't know. They don't know. And that's what's crazy for me is like, even when it came down to talking about with this Minneapolis police, because it's not just Minneapolis police when there's consent decree. There's a lot. There's a lot. Louisville, I believe there's 11 other cities that are under this, are trying to get a consent decree. And Trump's policies they're not going to get no, just like Minneapolis, we're not going to get one because we protect our cops, no matter if they done right, if they're damn wrong, we protect them. So I will never understand that. I want to get into this new fee that they're finally going to be accountable for, that Minneapolis police officers will be. We'll finally see that. When they just don't talk about it, we actually do see it. But they started this program where they're going to start charging Minneapolis police officers to be able to use their equipment. So that goes by their guns, their weapons, their vehicles, their uniforms, whatever, right? Because they're on, even though they're not on company time, on Minneapolis police time, they're in uniform and they have guns. So they have cars. So they're acting like they're Minneapolis police officers, but they're not. So watch this story right here of Minneapolis police and the new fee plan.
Police are trying to track down someone who shot 4 people. They say 3 men and a boy were shot inside a car in Minneapolis' Whittier neighborhood. All 4 are expected to survive. Police say that the shooter ran away before they got there. There have been no arrests.
The city of Minneapolis is making moves to charge fees for off-duty police work. According to a 2019 audit, 71% of officers worked 1 or more off-duty shifts. Our Reg Chapman has more on how the city hopes to recoup costs for the use of city resources.
Concerns from residents about the use of off-duty officers fueled the discussion.
I was repeatedly asked why the city was allowing officers to pick up off-duty while simultaneously pointing to staffing challenges as a reason for why residents were not getting follow-up on issues like burglaries or other police response.
The Department of Justice agreed and put concerns about off-duty work in the consent decree approved by City Council.
I'm glad that the DOJ consent decree also helped to reaffirm what many of our constituents had shared with us for years around their concerns around the off-duty program and the perception that it was encouraging this pay-to-play dynamic within our policing department.
The city hopes to recoup the cost of wear and tear on city resources like squads, weapons, and uniforms, but there are concerns.
Do we have any data on what this proposed ordinance would do for the use of off-duty help? Off-duty, when there are off-duty officers on duty, they also answer emergency calls and are an asset to our public safety.
Some believe the city does not have the jurisdiction to levy such fees according to the terms of a 1997 agreement with the Police Federation.
And then we are asking MPD to give us a comprehensive analysis on what fees they can collect.
Reg Chapman, WCCO News.
The Minneapolis Public Health and Safety Committee approved the ordinance today. The full city council is set to vote on it Monday. We reached out to Minneapolis police, but have not heard back.
No, and that's the crazy thing is that most individuals, the council probably won't hear back. Fox 9, KMSP, whatever you want to call it, right? But I want to get into next about what's going on at the state capitol. They're trying to, everybody knows it, well, maybe not everybody, but they are trying to pass bills. Are they all good? Are they bad? Well, we don't know. But I want people, so here is, they want to do about fraud, right? But it makes me, this is one thing that made me wonder how serious they are about fraud. How serious are they about getting rid of the fraud and the bad actors in our community? And by the fact that they have this man speaking at a public safety committee, Bob Fletcher, and I'm going to get into Ramsey County Sheriff Bob Fletcher for the simple fact that you can connect this man to feeding our future. Just the same way y'all want to go at Mayor Frey, the same way y'all want to go at Osmond, Jamal Osmond, the same way you want to go at Omar Fatih. Let's go at this white man. Let's go at this sheriff. Let's go at this back to blue ass motherfucker, because there's evidence. There's evidence. And the fact that these people don't want to see it, and this is what makes me sad, is because how do we expect to root out bad actors and bad apples if you keep allowing the bad apples to keep on speaking for us? To keep on, and this is the one crazy thing I will never understand this, and I need people to pay attention to what's going on at the Capitol. And I'm going to get into more of that. So listen to this.
Sheriff Bob Fletcher. Next up, Shane Myrie, Minnesota Police and Peace Officers Association President.
Mr. Chair, members, my name is Bob Fletcher, Ramsey County Sheriff. Thank you for having me, Representative Novotny. You ready? Go ahead, sir. First of all, thank you for everything you've done, and for those of you that I've worked with here over the years, appreciate your efforts. And we've been here many years, and sometimes more successful than others. Of course, we stand here in support of the entire House File number 7, but there are some pieces to this bill that we worked on 2 years ago that didn't make it through conference committee when things, of course, didn't resolve. So I want to speak about 4 of those, if you don't mind, and then I have one other little item at the end that I want you to think about. Aggravated fleeing. We've had amazing success in our county at curtailing auto thefts and carjackings. The statistics are such that we're decreased them by 90%, and 90% in the carjackings, and the auto thefts by probably 75%. Some of our CAT team members are here in the audience. You see Deputy Kill, Deputy Siegelstrom, and over here, Deputy Sparks and Sparks. We've had amazing success. They do an amazing job. But we would not have been able to reduce crime without pursuing suspects. Crime is impacted by career criminals that are doing this on a daily basis. I have been at this since 1977, and I will tell you that the focus has to be on arresting the people that are doing this day in and day out. The occasional crime, the occasional offense is different than these career criminals that are out there. And so recovering a stolen car does us no good because they go out and steal another one. We have to actually arrest the person in the car to impact crime. And the statistics on our side of the river are amazing compared to other jurisdictions across the river in Minneapolis. There's a lot of reasons for that. The lack of police officers is prominent amongst them, but also different policies. So we need to be able to pursue, and we need to be able to apprehend and incarcerate people that violate the law. As you know, there's an existing fleeing police statute already in statute, and there are 3 other enhancements if you substantially harm someone or great bodily harm or kill someone. All those enhancements are great. We appreciate them. But for the most part, these chases do not evolve into someone getting seriously hurt. But they do endanger the public and endanger us. For instance, our most frequent problem is these people will drive on the opposite side of the road, thinking that most departments will not be able to pursue them when they're on the wrong side of the road. Most departments, including us, curtail chases. We happen to have some uniqueness to what we do and enough bodies that we can curtail and follow at a reasonable speed. We use the State Patrol helicopters, the most valuable asset we probably have in terms of helping us catch these individuals. But we have to catch them. You can't curb crime until you catch them. There are many things you may want to do after you catch them. And I'm here to say that actually you can decrease crime. You can arrest your way out of the crime problem. It's what you do after that with the criminal that makes the difference. So this enhancement would if they're fleeing on the wrong side of the street, they're blowing stop signs left or right. And what we didn't add in here is the night lights. I think if that's possible, Mr. Chair, we can add that as a third one, extinguishing lights. But you have two additions here, wrong side of the road and not obeying lights. If we can add the extinguishing of lights, that would be a big help. What that does is it makes it a 5-year felony and enhances the penalty and the sentencing guidelines. Second, occupy a stolen vehicle. It's been said we arrest a lot of groups of kids in stolens. They all know the car was stolen, or they reasonably should have known the car was stolen. Our system of justice really only allows us to charge the driver of the car. We do try to use the receiving stolen property statute, but we never have a county attorney that really wants to charge under that. So having a law stating that if you reasonably should have known it was stolen when you occupied it would be a huge help. Disrupting traffic, I'll let others speak to that. I know the State Patrol is been very involved in that. We would like to see that as well. Tracking vehicles. Now, Rich Neumeister, my old college buddy there from Hamlin University, and I have been friends and advocates and on opposite sides of issues for, what, 50 years now? It seems like it, since we graduated from Hamlin. Rich Neumeister is going to want to oppose what I'm about to say. But in the spirit of being able to catch the criminal and stop them from stealing another car, we need the ability to track the car. And we need the ability to put a tracker on the car when it's not occupied. Now, the current law allows us to get a hold of the owner and get the owner's permission. And we do that with great success. What do we have, Thomas, 50% success, 60? So we can't always get a hold of the owner. We find the stolen car, we know that some bad guys are inside the house, they're gonna come out. Recovering the stolen car does us no good. They're gonna go out and steal another car. We need to catch them in the car. And the best way for us to catch them is to be able to put a tracker on that car and monitor where they're going. Just stolen vehicles. We're just talking about stolen vehicles. If we haven't been able to reach the owner, or if it's a rental or something, we need to be able to put that tracker on the car. And then our team of half a dozen to 10 CAT members will intervene, we call it a VIT maneuver, and block that car in and arrest them for being in a stolen car. That's how crime goes down. So this statute eliminates that one line that Rich Neumeister was successful in inserting in conference committee 2 years ago, where it says.
So I want to show you that, yes, the bill that they're talking about, right? Because there's two. They're talking about HF 7, but this was introduced yesterday, was HF 86, was that this amendment aims to make it a punishable offense to be in a vehicle one knows or suspects is stolen, potentially reducing instances of auto theft and associated crimes. I want you, most Americans don't even under Minnesotans, I'm not even going to say it, but Minnesotans don't even understand this, right? So what they're calling it is, it's last year they amended it, is they want to enact it, is that a person who enters or is found in a motor vehicle that the person knows or has reason to know was taken or stolen in violation of subdivision 2 is guilty of a misdemeanor. A person who violates paragraph A after previously being convicted or adjudicated delinquent for violating paragraph A is guilty of a gross misdemeanor. So you got to understand that what they're doing. And if you don't understand it, and we got to know better, because when we know better, we do better. So why aren't people asking questions so that they can know better and teach others to do better?
Where it says is occupied, okay? So that would be a huge help for us. The only other thing I want to mention, there are some other good pieces of the bill, and I know Shane will probably comment on them. Are you aware that Representative Pinto authored a bill 2 years ago to raise the age of delinquency?
Recording in progress.
Raise the age of delinquency. They must be listening. So there is a statute that has been passed and is taking effect next year that raises the age of delinquency from 10 to 13. What this means is we will no longer be able to arrest 11 and 12-year-olds who are driving stolen cars. And we can use the children in need of protection, but that's a much more complex process. And it's no secret, you've heard Chief O'Hara and others talk about how young these offenders are getting. That bill didn't get any discussion. Somehow it was slammed through in the late hours or last minute. I would encourage you to take a look at that and see if you can, A, extend the timeline on that, or B, phase the years in. Instead of going 10 to 13 in June of next year, 10 to 11 one year, maybe 11 to 12. See how this is working before we're ready to say, cops, you can't arrest anybody. Because you couple that with Mary Moriarty's posture on who can be arrested, and you couple that with the consent decree that Minneapolis is now under, you're going to find that cops are not going to have the tools to arrest 12 and 13-year-old offenders. It's just, we're going to lose some of the tools. And sometimes they're extremely poorly behaved. So thank you for your time. I don't know, want to get me out of here? Questions?
We'll do questions at the end, and we have a bill.
That's crazy. That's crazy as hell, because I want to show you as well Bill 73. And I want to show you what it is, right? So it's excluding peace officers from discipline for inclusion on Brady-Gigolo list, establishing a task force to examine the Brady list. Now, if you don't understand what a Brady list is, right? So I put a link here, and you can read HF 73 for yourself, because it's a bill that a lot of people should be, because I want to tell you what a peace officer disclosure. So in subsection, it's amending by adding a subdivision to read peace officer disclosure. A peace officer may not be discharged, disciplined, or threatened with discharge or discipline by a state, county, or municipal law enforcement agency based upon a prosecutor's determination that the officer failed to identify to make explanatory, see, I don't even be knowing all these damn words, exploratory evidence available to the appropriate party in an ongoing prosecution, or because the peace officer is included on a Brady-Gigolo list. For the purpose of the subdivision, a Brady-Gigolo list means a destination of peace officers whom a prosecutor deems to be Brady impaired, including peace officers who may not have disclosed all impeachment information or who have violated any pretrial discovery rule requiring peace officers to make available all evidence that might be used to exonerate a defendant in an ongoing prosecution. Now here's the task force. You guys, this is really crazy to me, and I need people to pay attention, because I'm not saying law enforcement shouldn't be a part of it, right? I'm saying that is because if you got all bad apples and then only one good, how is that anything ever going to be actually good if everybody there is a bad apple? And you have just one good apple. So it's never going to work. I don't be understanding this shit, because it feels like since 2020, we've been saying George Floyd, Breonna Taylor, Dante Wright, Delal Aid, Winston Smith, Ricky Cobb, Amanda Sylvester, Jasmine Tucker. Like, when are we going to stop saying names and actually get justice? And get not even, I won't even say justice, because they're getting financial justice right now. But when are we going to get accountability and responsibility? Instead of, because there's the one thing, every time that's a cop is exonerated, or just like everybody wants to throw and I get it with the January 6th, you know what I'm saying? Like, because they're being exonerated, he pardoned them all. Trump did, even ones that assaulted officers. But like, we have so many individuals that actually didn't do anything behind bars. Didn't do anything. So why don't you care about them, but you care about people that you thought were patriots, patriotic? I don't get that, because a young man, Marvin Haynes, spent years behind bars that he didn't do anything. He didn't do anything. And you know what's crazy is we never like looking in the mirror at our mistakes, because there's so many bad things. But every time you bring up Marvin Haynes in Minneapolis, you know, that's even every time I bring up Ron Edwards, niggas that people that know, they shut the fuck up. You know, and that's what that's the one crazy thing, because Don, if you're watching, or if anybody knows Don, I want to say this to you. The reason why I even know about Ron Edwards was because of artificial intelligence. It wasn't because no black leader in the community ever told me about Ron. And the only reason of why, because I was asking questions. I didn't know it was AI at first. I didn't even know. I thought Jewel Adora was a real person. I'll be honest. I thought Jewel was a real person. You know what I'm saying? But that's the only reason why I know about Ron. And there's so many other things that honestly Jewel was telling me and was giving me sources. And what I mean by sources is she would tell me where to go look. She would tell me where to go look. That's why I don't give her full credit, Jewel. I just said her, but I don't give Jewel full credit. But I will tell you like this: there was a lot of they weren't black. There weren't niggas that look like me were trying to scam me. Because I will tell you like this: I've had people that put me into classes to learn, and other people wanted to charge me to learn a narrative, That's what I would never understand. There's a book right here that a lot of people should read, because this to be honest, this isn't no endorsement for Adam Coleman or anything like this. I was just really affected by this book. And I want to read the summary of it, the synopsis, whatever. They always tell you don't read a book by a cover. But the name of it is From Black Victim to Black Victor. And one thing that really took me for is because I feel like one thing that they try to do with their policies is to make us look like victims. And I wanted to read. So, and I love to read. And Black Americans are constantly lied to about the source of their community issues in an effort to profit off their pain and to make sure that they never leave the mindset of the victim. In order to move forward in American society, Black people must be critical of all sectors of Black culture and the people that profit off the mainstream Black victim messaging. I believe that with honesty, love, ownership, and responsibility, Black Americans can leave behind the victim mentality for the truly empowering victor mindset. Once victorhood is embraced, we can achieve a more peaceful union with the rest of American society and stop accepting conflict within the Black community as a normal reality. And we do look at it as that it's normal. You know, that's the one thing, is that gang violence. You know, you see people beefing over blocks that we don't even own. They're not even leased to us. We don't even lease them. You know, some lease business fronts. We don't own none of that because we see they take it. You know, how many people have family members that have injustice that was done to their family because their family didn't know any better? Their family didn't know any better. You know what I'm saying? They didn't know that there was things that they could do. There was laws, there was loopholes that made it easier. Right. That's right. Evolving them of responsibility encourages it. I 100% agree. Every time that we just, even like with Ricky Cobb, they're justifying, and the courts came out with it. The same thing that you're going to hear these arguments, and the same thing that the state Supreme Court said that Walz had no authority to call an early election because it wasn't done right. So we accept bad behavior all the time. All the time. Because first of all, we believe that it's somebody fighting for your rights. How? This is the one thing they're fighting because it's getting taken away. Because they're right. They're not. Here's the one thing that I want to. There was a committee hearing the other day. I'm going to see if I can find the video. But there was a committee hearing the other day where some activists from Aliveness took over, and right. Oh, I so agree with you, Robert. I so agree. I'm glad you've seen this, because this is one reason why I keep on looking through these bills. I don't understand everything, but I want to know better so I can do my community better. That's the one crazy thing. I don't want to, I'm starting to learn more and more that it's not always about racism. It's systemic policies, systemic racism, but there's classism, there's ableism, there's ageism. There's so much more. And until people fully understand that, I don't believe that we'll honestly ever get it. Because you're stuck in that frame of mind that it's only one thing instead of it being a multitude of problems. You only want to look at it from one side of the problem. And I honestly believe that's a big issue. So here is Walter Hudson going at I'm not going to really call him train. I don't know what to call him anymore, because I'm gonna get canceled in the way it goes, right? So I mean, at the end of the day, but you see a person that was here. This is over 9 minutes long.
Whose house is this? Whose house is this? Yeah, go ahead and kick me out. It'll be on. Whose house is this? Whose house is this? You chicken meatball-headed motherfucker. Whose house is this? Whose house is this? Whose house is this? Yeah, go ahead and kick me out. It'll be on every fucking news organization in the country. I'm done with this shit. You do not have quorum. You are not allowed to do this. And you know it. You're just going to keep pushing the fucking line. You're just going to keep overstepping your bounds, just like y'all did last session when I had to sit there and listen to y'all motherfuckers talk about what burgers you like instead of giving us equal rights in Minnesota. I'm done with it. I sat through the whole trans refuge thing listening to you fucking lie about my community. I sat and listened to every Culver's fucking bullshit order instead of giving equal rights and bodily autonomy to all Minnesotans. I'm done with it. The Senate threw a big baby fucking tantrum at the end of the session last year. It was a goddamn clown show. And I'm tired of it. If y'all aren't going to respect decorum, if y'all aren't going to follow the fucking rules, then neither are we. Fuck you. Fuck you. Fuck you. Fuck you. Fuck you! Fuck you!
Wow.
I'm done with it. Get your good glamour shots there, motherfucker. I remember the shit that you said on the fucking floor. I remember the shit that you said, misgendering Lee Finke, lying about us. Go fuck yourself. I'm done with this.
That was Walter Hudson that took the
We're
video.
done. No, this is not a legitimate committee. I can stand here and fucking yell all day. I don't give a shit. You want to drag me out? We're going to have a bunch of cameras on us, including that one. That we're going to put on all the news organizations. We're done. Stop. We're fucking done with it. Stop the coup. 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 You listen to us, motherfuckers. You work for us. You don't get to sit here and move in silence and smirk and act like a fucking smug asshole when you don't have quorum to even have this fucking committee. I'm done with it. No, don't bang your fucking gavel. Listen while the adults are talking, motherfucker. We're done with this shit. We're absolutely done with it. Get the fuck out of here. Come back when there's actual committees, when you actually have quorum, when you actually have a power sharing agreement. This is fucking bullshit and you know it. You do not have a right to be here. We do. This is our fucking house. I can't hear you. Speak up. Use your big boy voice, motherfucker. What? What? I can't hear you, motherfucker. What? Exactly. Shut the fuck up. You're not supposed to be here. This is our fucking house. We are the citizens. You're not taking our rights away from us. You're not fucking moving in silence. You're not coming and having your fake little fucking meetings. We're done. I have to sit here and watch all you motherfuckers, including you, talk shit about my fucking community. Call us fucking tricksters. Literally argue in a House committee meeting that we should deserve to fucking die if we have sex with a man and he doesn't know we're trans. Go fuck yourself, dude. I'm done with it. I'm so done with all y'all bullshit. You want to drag me out? Be my fucking guest. Come get me. But it's going to be on the news. Everyone's going to know what the fuck y'all are up to.
Damn.
And we're done with it.
Right.
Whose house is it? Our house. 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 What do we want?
I don't know about them, but
when do we want it? Now. What do we want?
There's only two
when do we
genders,
want it?
the male and the female.
What do we want?
What is that?
When do we want it? Now.
Ooh.
Right? We will not comply. 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 No, I'm done with it. Shut your fucking mouth. You work for me. This is bullshit. You do not deserve to be here. You know it. All y'all fucking liars. This is our goddamn house. You do not have quorum. We did not spend our literal blood, sweat, and tears fighting for equal rights in Minnesota to have y'all stomp all over it in your little coup attempt. This is bullshit. I'm done with it.
I'm done with it.
Quorum!
When do we want it?
Now!
What do we want?
Quorum!
When do we want it?
Now!
What do we want?
Quorum!
When do we want it?
Now!
What do we want?
Quorum!
When do we want it?
Now!
What do we
No,
want?
this is an illegitimate committee. They do not deserve to be here. We have every right to be here as they do. Y'all want to have your little fucking fun with the cops? We're going to be here too.
What do we want?
We're done.
When do we
Want
want
to
it?
drag me out, then drag me out. I'm not moving.
When do we want it?
150 pounds, motherfucker. I hope y'all are strong.
When do we want
I'm
it?
done.
What do we want?
No, we're staying here until all y'all file out, go home, and think about your life and think about what the fuck you're doing in the state of Minnesota. Because we're done with it. I'm done sitting here. I'm done sitting here letting you stomp all over my rights. Like I said, you want to keep fucking around, you're going to find out. You're not going to like it.
Our house.
Damn, this be crazy, bro. I don't get this.
Drag me out, have fun explaining it to all the local news orgs, and the major ones when it gets
I'm gonna keep. I'm gonna play this to the end of it, but it's crazy because, like, I honestly, I don't think they would allow us to do that, man. If you were black, this is the one thing of it is, right, that I keep on saying is that January 6th would have been a bunch of black people. We'd have been dead. There'd have been a blood house. Blood house. There would have been army, there'd have been National Guard, and there'd have been a bloodbath. Right? Now you're seeing trans come in here and cause a disruption. Cause a disruption. Right? Now, supposedly, allegedly, this trans has children who are trans. I don't know how the fuck that's possible. That's not a discussion I'm really willing to have right now, because it makes me wonder how the hell do we have people out here that are willing to. I'm not saying there's nothing against trans, but you can't be a woman. I don't care what our government, our policies want you to believe. God made Adam and Eve. He made two. We have policies in place that have let y'all allowed to cosplay women without individuals speaking up and actually saying something. And I'm not saying that you don't deserve your right to be who you are, but let's be honest. You can't have a baby. You can, if you ever get it with JJ, it's going to be an artificial for JJ. It's going to be your penis inside out with a piece of your thigh on there. I believe that it is. Right? They're going to cut your boobies off. So you can be well, I guess if you're going to be a woman, they don't cut your boobies off. They put boobies on you. But they're going to, you know what I'm saying? So how isn't it? And there's something that Big Boy said. I'm just going to say Big Boy. Because I'll tell you like this. This nigga would have got my face like that at the Capitol. I'd have beat his ass. I wouldn't have been like Walter. Here's the thing of it is, you can act a certain way, but you got to understand there's repercussions and consequences as well. You know what I'm saying? Because I've done the same ass shit. But I will tell you like this, is that it was about our community. I was up there asking it, Keith Ellison, John Choi, Mike Freeman, all these other prosecutors, or why do you want to prosecute juveniles and make it easier to prosecute them? And this, the crazy thing is, all this money, but no accountability, no responsibility. So again, is how do we expect change and there's no accountability? So until we actually get some accountability, how do we expect change? Because we keep on allowing bad actors to keep on acting bad.
Our house. Our house. Our house. The committee chair is not the committee chair because it's not a fucking committee because you don't have quorum. And you know it. You don't want to play by the rules. Neither will we. We're going to sit here. We're going to keep chanting. We're going to keep talking. I can step back, but I'm not leaving. I'm staying right here. I'm keep yelling till my tongue's fucking dry. I can't talk because I care about Minnesota. I care about our human rights. This is one of the greatest states to live in the country, and y'all are fucking ruining it. Y'all are turning into a goddamn house's dumpster fire. I'm tired of it. We're staying here until either y'all leave or we get dragged out, and then y'all are going to have to answer to the people of Minnesota once they put it on the news. Bullshit. Our house. Our house. Our house. Our house. Our house. Our house. All day, motherfuckers. That's today. What do we want here? When do we want it? Now. What do we want? Quorum. When do we want it? Now. What do we want? Quorum. When do we want it? Now. What do we want? Quorum. When do we want it? Now. What do we want? Quorum. When do we want it? Now. What do we want? Quorum. When do we want it? Now. Equal rights now. Equal rights now. Equal rights now. Y'all motherfuckers burn the entire
Oh my Lord. This is crazy. This shit's a joke.
Equal rights now. Equal rights now. They do not, they have no legitimate claim to be here and they know it. But they keep crossing the line. All you motherfuckers are crossing the line and then seeing how far that you can take it. Because that's what happened last session. Y'all motherfuckers, people in the Senate just sat there literally screaming like we're doing right now. Nothing was done.
Boy, I will say
a lot of really good legislation in the House because you motherfuckers decided to throw a big baby down. So game on. If y'all are going to throw cancer, you're going to come in and do it. If y'all want me to leave the people's house, my house, the house that I helped pay for, my tax dollars, the house that I bust my ass to build, living in Minnesota, drag me out. Do it. It'll be on every fucking news organization. Equal rights now. Equal rights now. Equal rights now. I'm going to stay here until they drag me out. Drag me out. Have fun. Nope, I'm done. I'm staying here. These motherfuckers have no legitimate right to stay here. They know. This is a fake committee. It's a sham session, and they know it. Equal rights now. incredibly productive. Yes, it is. We are showing that we are done taking y'all's bullshit. We're not going to stand here and let you stomp all over our rights as Minnesota citizens. You have as many cops, you have as many security in here as you want. We have every right to be here. We have more of a right to be here than y'all do. Equal rights now. Equal rights now. Equal rights now. I have all day. I'm not moving. I'm literally not moving. Equal rights now. Equal rights now. Go ahead. Equal rights now. No. Equal rights now. Stop now. Equal rights now. I believe in Minnesota too much. I believe too much in the actual rules of the House. We have quorum so we can pass some actual legislation instead of this fascist bullshit. I'm done. I care too goddamn much about this state. The state that we have all worked and fought for to have here. I care too much about the trans state. I care too much about bodily autonomy in Minnesota.
Equal rights now. Equal rights now. Equal rights now. Shut the fuck up, man. This shit crazy. I want to ask, how the fuck do these people not have equal rights, right? You have equal rights to go get water. You don't have to go to a water fountain that says trans woman, trans man. Doesn't say colored woman. Doesn't say colored man. Come on, man. This should be tripping me out how these people, they do this all the time. All the time. All the time. If we don't have equal rights, how are you allowed to live? I asked that, how are you allowed to live? Because a motherfucker called you that you're not a woman. That means that because you're not a woman. No matter how much the law tells us, in God's eyes, they will never see you as a motherfucking woman. That's crazy as hell to me, man. These people are like, this shit, mental illness. Like, for real. I'm not going to be in like, because I got it. Never mind. But listen to this, man. Violent offenders who are immigrants, immigration, illegal aliens, right, is underway. ICE raids.
They're wasting no time. And ICE is making nearly 500 arrests in the span of just 33 hours. The New York Post cover, the ICE man cometh. President Trump also signing more executive orders, including one designed to block illegal crossings. And he told Sean Hannity that Joe Biden's failed policies forced him to take swift action.
Why would somebody say that open borders are good, where jails and mental institutions from other countries and gang members right off the streets of the toughest cities in the world are being brought to the United States of America and emptied out into our country? Why would anybody that even likes, you don't have to love our country, you have to like it. Why would anybody that likes our country, the Democrats, allow that to happen? And even now, I watch them on television. They're trying to justify it. You can't justify it.
So those ICE raids taking place in many parts of the country, including the sanctuary city of Boston. That's where Bill Maloogian went on an exclusive right along with ICE. And Bill joins us now to tell us what he found and what he saw. Bill, good morning.
Bill, good morning to you as well. In the early days of this new Trump administration, ICE officials tell me they're taking what they call a worst first approach, meaning they're going to target the worst of the worst criminal alien offenders first. Well, we were given exclusive access to join the elite ICE team right here in Boston as they go into sanctuary jurisdictions and enforce immigration law.
That's it. Clink, clink.
Good morning, everyone. It's a frigid 5 degrees in the pre-dawn hours just outside of Boston, where this team of elite ICE
Damn, so all them
officers
pictures
is
people were
briefing on
putting
their
up there were
targets
from
for the day.
Boston.
We're going to be targeting some extremely
violent offenders today.
Within moments, the officers are on the move, with eyes on their first target.
Looks like we got movement, target vehicle coming out.
Damn.
They quickly take him into custody. He's an MS-13 gang member wanted in El Salvador for aggravated murder. And he has an Interpol red notice out for his arrest.
We are targeting very violent threats to our community.
I'm not going back to Haiti. One of those threats is this illegal alien from Haiti. ICE says he's a gang member with 17 criminal convictions in recent years.
Trump, you feel me? Yo, Biden forever, bro. Thank
Lord.
for everything that he did for me, bro.
everything he did for you. Jesus
ICE
Christ.
Boston quickly takes down its next targets,
This shit
including
crazy.
this illegal alien from Brazil who has an Interpol red notice for armed robbery. This Salvadoran illegal alien charged locally with rape and released by a sanctuary jurisdiction. And this Dominican illegal alien charged with assault with a deadly weapon and heroin trafficking. Officers also arrested this Guatemalan MS-13 gang member facing gun charges. ICE says he was released from local custody just the day before. Their detainer request was ignored because of sanctuary policies. And in a sign of shifting priorities with the new Trump administration, this man, who was in the same apartment as the target, was also arrested after ICE determined he's also in the U.S. illegally. This is what ICE calls collateral.
So you guys got your main target just now, but you got somebody else. What just happened?
So our main target was released by a sanctuary jurisdiction, not honoring a detainer. That person was released back into the community, and when we went to go find him, he's with somebody else who was previously removed from the United States. So he's going to go today too.
And that is exactly what Border Czar Tom Homan has warned would happen.
When we find the bad guy, he's probably with others that are in the United States illegally. They may not be a criminal priority, but we're not walking away from them.
ICE Boston says they will continue to go into sanctuary jurisdictions and do their job.
Today was a good day. Today we took several significant public safety threats out of our communities. Unfortunately, a lot were released by sanctuary policies, but we're here to tell the Commonwealth and the rest of the country that we're going to find them whether they're released or not.
And guys, shortly after we finished filming, ICE Boston told us they arrested 2 more targets in other parts of town away from our cameras. One of those targets is a previously deported Honduran illegal alien who was arrested for raping a woman while putting a gun in her mouth. The other target they got is a Haitian man who first flew into the United States in 2023 as part of President Biden's controversial migrant flights mass parole program. Well, they just picked him up yesterday because he's been arrested locally for sexual assault. We'll send it back to you.
Bill Malugin, it was fascinating to watch all of that. I think I was just saying to Bill, this is terrible for Joe Biden and the legacy that he tried to leave behind. A question from me, how soon will they actually be leaving the country? Does that take a long time?
It depends what country they're from. If they're from cooperable countries like El Salvador, Guatemala, countries like that, it can be quick. It can be within days or weeks. If it's countries that are harder to deport, countries that don't cooperate with the U.S. as much, it can go into a process of months. But the Trump administration is changing policies with something called expedited removal. The bottom line is people at home don't need to understand all the policies. The Trump administration is just going to work as fast as they can to get all the people you just saw on camera there out of the country as fast as possible. They're also going to use their State Department, now led by Marco Rubio, to put pressure on countries that don't cooperate with the U.S. as much when it comes to those deportations.
Bill, just two points of clarification here. It seems a lot of these crimes are associated with sex crimes. I'm just looking at the list a bit earlier today. I don't know if that generally is the case or not. And second, if Boston's a sanctuary city, how are they allowed to do this? Because we told there would be resistance.
Boston doesn't have to cooperate with ICE, but there's nothing they can do to stop ICE from coming into their city and enforcing the law. And that's exactly what happened yesterday. And that's the point ICE makes to us is, look, they don't have to cooperate with our detainer requests. They don't have to tell our officers when they're releasing somebody from jail. But we're going to do our job. We have our intel guys out in the field. We have people with eyes all over the place, and we're going to snatch those guys. So they can make ICE's job more difficult, longer, and more dangerous, but it's not going to stop ICE from doing the job, guys. The bottom line is ICE says it's safer for everybody involved if locals would just hand these guys over in jail once they're arrested, but they don't. They let them out onto the streets. They don't tell ICE about it, so ICE has to spend a lot of resources gathering intel, finding these guys, and then going out into the community to do arrests, which could be dangerous. You saw that combative Haitian man, and then you saw in the case of that one MS-13 member, his friend got snagged. They weren't even looking for him. They were looking for the MS-13 guy. They picked him up because a sanctuary jurisdiction released the MS-13 guy. ICE found him and then found the guy who was in the apartment with. They found out he was an illegal alien as well. So now he's going to be deported too.
Wow.
It's amazing. Bill Malugin, thank you so much. More to come on that.
Thank you, Bill. I'm Steve DUC.
Amazing. Like, that shit's supposed to be. That should be crazy, man. Like, no, America's so fucked up because literally we have people that are okay thinking that what they're doing is right when it's actually wrong because they're too afraid to stand up to wrong. They're too afraid to stand up to what we face as Black people, want to take it away or erase it or critical or whatever you want to call it, man. I call it just, I don't get it. I don't get it. Just like in San Antonio last night, I know a lot of people probably don't know about it, but 7 police officers were shot. 7 in San Antonio. I don't know what they were doing. I don't know if it was a warrant, whatever. I guess it was, they said they were, what you want to call it? Now here's the video. They were ambushed. But here's so this is in San Antonio. That shit crazy. I'm telling you, look at all this physical time we are. Look at that shit. Get back, right. That shit wild.
Amigos de Univisión, muy buenas noches.
Damn. Wow.
Omar Rojas Cavazos saludándoles
When you
desde...
speak Spanish, they coming to get your ass after you posted this. This shit crazy. I'm just playing. I don't care if they coming to get you or not. But it just makes me like, damn, when are they gonna do something? Like, you had 7 officers be shot, and it's like, God damn. Like, here goes a press
conference. There was a call from a family member. He arrived on the scene, and he wound up being shot. Another officer who arriving after him, or about the same time as him, was also shot. Third officer arriving on the scene, shot as well. And then finally, the 4th officer who arrived on the scene was shot. All 4 of those officers have been transported to the hospital. As far as I know right now, they are non-life-threatening injuries.
San Antonio, please, Black, man, shut the fuck up, Back to Blue. You can
First officer arrived.
Try to be accountable. What the fuck you mean, Back to Blue? Start backing you motherfuckers when you be accountable for the bullshit you be pulling. Damn, there he is right here. There's the shooter. He was a white guy. Then he got a little revolver. Yeah, okay, he wasn't doing all that shit with a revolver. They said he was though. Putting in new bullets. So that's wild. That's crazy. You did not see this shit go on the last night. I don't think this shit. Even with these new fires out in California, that shit wild as hell. If you don't know what's going on with the new fires out, and shouldn't even, they still battling fires out there. Shit, and we talking about, just living life and keep on doing what we doing. But niggas is suffering, and you got lawmakers out there fighting for people that are incarcerated to be, different jails. And yeah, this shit is wild. Look at that. Damn, that's crazy as hell. That's wild. That's California. That is California right now. I don't know. Look at that shit. That's crazy. This is, people want to do this goes video. Look at this shit crazy. You can driving through fire. Shit. Ooh, wee. Damn, that's crazy. Who driving? We driving? Damn, that's crazy. To get through there, you would think there would be other cars out there. Damn. There goes some more video out from out there. Look at this shit. Wow, that's California. That ain't no Brazil or Norway or some third world country. No, that's here in America. Damn. Fire tornado coming at you. Damn. think that we live in a country where we can have this shit go on and people act like it's normal. That's sick. Look at that shit. That's sick. All those, look at that shit is sick. And now we're so desensitized to it. Look at that shit. Another video. Helicopter. Look at all that shit. Boom, boom, boom. And then we wonder why we have an issue with America. Look at that shit. Damn. Pray for Los Angeles. I definitely will say that. It's the deadliest ass firing. Look at this shit. This shit, man. This motherfucker's storm been wild as fuck. Look at that. Niggas wanna be like, oh, that's not real. It's AI. Okay, motherfucker, you tell the people that they lost their houses, this shit is AI and it's not real. Fuck you mean? This shit be crazy. That's wild. That's people's life. That's people's house. That's wild. That's the Santa ain't a win. That's the Santa ain't a win. They gotta drive to that shit. Fuck that. Pay me a money. Fuck that. I don't want to be no hero. Why would you want to be a hero to people that don't give a fuck about you? And shit, this is wild. Wow. Look at these pictures. And to think that this is California. Look at that. And people, that's what I'm saying. People just living their lives and there's a whole fire going on. That's destroying people. It's brutalizing. I don't understand it. Like, people honestly don't be caring about others. But it's sick. Damn! Oh, that's some blew up. Man, what was that? Hold on, come back. So that's last year. That's last year. I guess I don't know, but it's July. Damn. So we already had shit like this. Damn. 9 hours ago.
Class at North Lake Hills Elementary School. All the kids have been evacuated there. Class at North Lake Hills Elementary School.
In California's already horrific. California will jump containment lines overnight and head for residential areas. Some hope will jump
I don't know what y'all holding
lines.
down like that shit gonna do something. These motherfuckers cuckoo. Maybe it will though. Damn. Pray for California. Pray for Los Angeles. Pray for people that they need to be praying. So there's a school bus. Damn. What? No, this is in Minneapolis. So you had a fire, a school bus fire, and there was no reported injuries. So it was on Hiawatha and Franklin. Damn, yep. Holy crap. Damn. Man, it's a sick ass world out here, man. I hope people are paying attention. I hope you definitely are paying attention. I might come back on here later on to do the Supreme Court hearing. But I also gotta upload my new album. So with that being said, man, I'm gonna get up out of here today. I hope everybody enjoyed. I hope everybody definitely got that knowledge. You know what I'm saying? They got what they were looking for this morning. So with that being said, man, I'm gonna get up out of here. Win or fail, freedom or jail, heaven or hell. Wish me well, and y'all have a great day. This is Chaz Neal, aka the Urban Conservative, out of here. Intro, Truth to Power from the album Illumination by the Urban Conservative. It's the urban conservative. Y'all know I speak my truth. In the dark or the light, it's only right. Let's go! It's time to fight. Yeah, hella nights, don't sit tight. Hella scams and hella industries. Who holds the lock and key? Corporations hold a noose around the nation. No time for celebration. No time for celebration. Wrap your head around your own keep. Take care of thee, and God keep on watching over me. Snitches from 68, no different from scammers at outta 2023. See, time will tell who reigns the king. I polish and kiss my ring. That holds the bond of respect and loyalty to my family, my wife and kids, and me ultimately. Cause if I don't stand up, who gon' follow? Truth to power, truth to power, truth to power, stand and plan. Truth to power, stand and plan. Only hold the keys to unlock the fire within. Truth to power, stand and plan. Truth to power, stand and plan. Truth to power, only hold the keys to unlock the fire within. Truth to power. It ain't just myself that takes care of me. We a community. I call out snitches so we can avoid stitches. So if you don't listen, that's your fault. But I called it out. Tired of niggas searching for the clout. But hey, don't hold truth to power. Just fake and phony by the hour. Give me some rounds of doubt and I'll take you down. Cause ain't no time for fear here or around. It's time to get down. It's time to get down. Time to get down.